Hey gamers, it's grindthisgame here with some tips for Clanfolk, a game that's similar to Rimworld, really fun. I'm about in year 4 here. This is going to be a lot of 25 tips, some beginner, some intermediate, and some kind of more advanced. The game is in early access, so it's it's changing all the time. So these things might change, but tip number 1: it's really good to build paths early on, especially dirt paths. They're under buildings, they're under floors. So dirt path, it doesn't really require any things other than a tool. You need a hoe, and that's about it. Some time, and it'll make them walk along that path 11% faster. And if you want to see where they're walking often, in the top right here there's overlays. You can kind of see a heat map of where they walk really often. So you'll want to make sure you have paths there. Later on you can get better flooring, which has even more speed boost. Like, let's see here. Under flooring we've got brick flooring is pretty good for outdoors, and it's got a speed bonus of 43. And then fancy tile floor has a really good indoor kind of look to it, and it gives you an indoors 20 and a speed bonus 43. Tip number 2: you'll want to build these things called poop holes early on. They just you can put them outdoors, you can put them indoors. If you put them outdoors, they'll get a kind of fertility thing around them, as you can see this green thing here. So you can use this to fertilize areas that you want crops to grow faster in. And later on you'll get toilets, but a word of warning about the toilets: they to break down the poop, you'll need these chamber pots, and you'll dump the poop in the compost. But compost requires wood ash, and the only way to get wood ash is with wood chips from cutting wood. I think there might be one other way as well, but if you're ever running out of wood ash after you've built toilets, you can always fall back to the poop holes. Okay, tip number 3: make sure wherever you have things that are spitting out flames, like fireplaces or campfires or torches, you can kind of see where they're going to spit out their flames, but make sure you do a fire block, and that's under stockpiles. Flammable blocker it's called. So I've got one right here in front of the fireplace. This just prevents them from dropping things that are flammable in front of the fire, and it prevents you from burning your whole house down. Initially your buildings will probably be out of hay, and the roof will be made out of hay, so they're very flammable, so you got to be careful. Tip number 4: some of the early clothing is sackcloth clothing. I don't recommend it unless you really need it, because it has such a really bad mood buff. So, especially the slacks, the sack pants and the sack shirt, I'd avoid them. And at least when you get the better clothing later on, make sure you destroy all the sack clothing, because it's really quite terrible. Now, lighting. Kids usually dislike the darkness at night. They're afraid of it. We got a little kid here. They're not afraid of the dark. Let's find a little baby here. Mood. So, yeah, sometimes when you'll see a baby and you see down here, you'll see afraid of the dark. So you might want to put a light source in their bedroom, like a torch or a fireplace. And adults are the reverse. They don't like the light. So these fireplaces in here, if they burn at night and there's adults in here, they'll get a mood debuff from the bright light. So what you can do to have heat and not have light is to build the fireplace in like a little closed off room, and then use a vent to transfer heat between rooms. Tip number 6: food storage. So most food rots faster when it's warmer. So what I've done is kind of raw food I store outdoors, and in the winter and fall that keeps it pretty much fresh. But some people build a little cooler room, and you can put frozen water in the cooler room to cool it down. Some people also dig into the mountainside and do the same kind of thing. I didn't bother with that. I didn't build a fridge. I went with dried foods instead. I try to dry my meat, my fish, and my mushrooms. That way I have food that can last through the winter. On the topic of dried mushrooms, they're OP right now. They're very, very powerful. You can get mushrooms in spring and summer and fall, but they're even more common in fall. And you just go jobs, pick mushrooms. Let's see if we can find any. There's a bunch right here. They grow on stumps and they grow on trees. And they do rot fairly fast in warm weather, but you can dry them on these drying racks here. So I got drying racks here. So I've got a ton of dried mushrooms. They never rot, so they're the perfect kind of food for the winter. I've got a whole cabinet of them here. Actually, 2 cabinets, almost full. They'll probably get nerfed in the future, but they're a great source of food, kind of year-round, if you don't want to build a cooler. That was tip number 7. Tip number 8 is to buy animals fairly early on. I've got a barn out here. Doesn't need to be this big, but the first thing you'll probably have access to are chickens, and chickens will make eggs for you. Later on, depending on reputation, you'll be able to get sheep, cows, and goats. Goats you can milk for milk, the female ones, and same with cows. And the sheep you can get wool from. Some of the best clothing in the game for wintertime are winter coats. Let's see if I can find someone here. A winter coat on. Actually, it's summer, so they've all taken all their winter clothes off. But in here we've got linen. Linen's really good for the summer because it cools them down. But in the winter, they really like the wool. Okay, tip. On the topic of animals, make sure you get a male and a female of each one so that they can make babies. You can also make little food things here for them in the winter and little water troughs. They also need an animal bed, which is made out of straw. But pretty much year-round, as long as you've got grass growing outside, they'll eat the grass before they eat your seed or kind of prepared food. Yeah, they're pretty awesome. But some of them are only unlocked with better reputation with the various clans, and I'll go into clans a little bit later. But sometimes, and I think it's a bug, sometimes a vendor will stop by and they'll have animals. And if you click the animal, you can actually purchase it. So it's a way to get animals before you're allowed to get them, I guess. Okay, tip number 9. Build these signs early on. There's 3 signs here. And we've got a guy right here. This sign is for people who want to stay the night. So you can earn income by getting them to stay. And if they enjoy their stay, they'll give you rep when they leave. Clan reputation. The second sign is the trading post. This will bring a merchant where you can trade. And I highly recommend buying at least one thing or selling at least one thing because you'll get a little bit of rep. If you sell or buy a bunch of stuff, you can get quite a bit of rep from the merchants. And then the job board, you'll definitely want a job board. You'll want to hire people when you can afford it. And I think it's the only way to get people to join your colony is workers that really enjoy themselves. We've got another one here. Make sure you have enough beds for them all. Another traveler here. I don't think I have enough beds at the moment, so I'm going to send them away. Okay, now clans. There's a button down here. There's a bunch of different clans. Let's take a look here. We've got we're the Robertson clan. And then there's these other clans that come and visit. And you can, if you hover over this bar, you can see your progress. And you can see kind of what each star does. So you start off with like no rep. And if you get a person visiting, let's click on someone here who's visiting. You can, I clicked on a worker, and you can see clan reputation 11. As long as their mood is high, the satisfaction bar will fill up over time. And you can get this clan reputation up to 100. And once you do, if you send them home, ask them to leave down here, you'll get 100 clan rep from that person. So it's a really powerful way to get clan rep early on, and throughout the whole game actually. And as you unlock these stars, you get a higher percentage chance of them visiting, and you get more things unlocked. that you can buy from them. So these are all the things we can buy. These are all the things that they sell. Yeah, so make sure you get the rep up for all your clans, and it'll definitely help you out. Especially getting access to those more rare animals like, let's see if we can see in here. Like sheep, and this is what they'll buy, but here's McLeod's, they sell pigs and chickens. So yeah, definitely get that rep up. Tip number 11. If you can do it in your first spring, you probably want to do it in your second spring, and that is to plant, what are we in now? We're in spring. You'll want to plant this stuff, oat sheath. So under planting, you'll need to prepare the soil first. So till the soil, and you'll get it. It'll turn up like this, and then you want to plant oats on top. Now there's some patches of oats out in the wild early on, and you'll want to harvest some of it to get some seeds going. But make sure you don't eat all the seeds so that you have enough to plant. Especially between seasons, it's easy to exhaust all your seeds and then get stuck, and you can't get any more oats unless you happen to buy them from a vendor. So it's good to get this crop going. It only grows in spring and summer. I grow a lot of it because it's a good source of food. And you can grind the oats down into flour, which doesn't spoil. So we've got some flour in this rack here. Yeah, it doesn't spoil. If you leave it out in the rain, it'll spoil, but indoors it pretty much lasts forever. And then you can turn this into dough, which does spoil, and then the dough can be cooked in the oven to make bread. Pretty good food. Okay, where was I? Tip number 12. Hay roofs. They, let's just put on the roof overlay here. They're pretty much what you're going to be using in the beginning. And you can upgrade to stone if you don't want your roof to catch on fire, but you're going to probably be stuck with a whole lot of straw and hay. So it's actually straw roof, I think. So it's pretty safe as long as you're careful with fires and you use the flammable blocker. The straw/hay roof. Let's make sure what it really is here. It is the hay roof. Yeah, you want to make sure. As long as it doesn't catch on fire, it's safe to leave. But if you have lots of time, and you can upgrade to different types of roofs, like stone roof here, which I started to do. Turn that roof overlay back off. Okay. Tip number 13: plant trees. Now, you probably don't have to worry about this early on, because you start with a whole bunch of trees. But if you've kind of deforested your whole area, you'll want to start replanting trees in the spring and the summer. You can't plant them in the fall and the winter. So I've planted these here, and then they got a crop going here. And then you might want to selectively log some of them for wood, and then leave behind the stumps, because the mushrooms will grow on the stumps. Okay, tip number 14. I already mentioned this one, but make sure you buy stuff and sell stuff for reputation. It really helps if you've got a decent amount of money. Even if you're just selling stuff that is kind of renewable, it's a good way to get rep and money. Dense storage, tip number 15. It's definitely a good idea to make dense storage. And what I mean by dense storage is you start off with some regular stockpiles, which are good, but under objects, storage, there's kind of like a storage for almost just about everything in the game. And it allows you to store way more stuff in those storages. So for instance, here we've got quite a bit of iron ore in one tile. Otherwise, it would take each 50 ore would be taking up a tile. Some of the shelving has got tons of storage because it kind of goes vertical as well. Yeah, definitely use those storages. And try to keep the storages near the building that you're doing. So here we've got the thresher, which is kicking out grains and stuff. And then you'll want to have your grain pallets close to that. And there's a tip later on I'll mention about this storage and stuff. Okay, tip number 16. Build everything. So the tech tree under ideas here, as you build new things, it unlocks other things. Now I have pretty much everything unlocked here. I'll just kind of scroll through. Spoiler alert. I'm actually waiting for this one because I need, I think I need some raw wool from a sheep, which I'm about to get, but that'll be the last thing. But definitely build one of each thing. You can destroy it later if you don't need it, but it'll unlock different technologies. You'll be able to see that in here. Okay. Tip number 17, slow down. It's so tempting in this game just to go, you know, max speed and just kind of fly through things, but when you're early in the game, I recommend going slow and just kind of like watching your clans people, and oh, our cow died, and kind of keeping an eye on them and looking at their values, like all these things in here. You can see what's affecting their mood and like health and whatnot. You can really learn a lot by watching this. These little right arrows mean they're going up. The red arrow means they're going down. Yeah, lots to learn in here, especially if you go slow. And so I recommend slowing down. That's probably the most important tip early on. Tip number 18, how to make kids. So if you don't get any couples going on, your initial people will die of old age and your clan will eventually collapse into from lack of population. So how do you make kids? Got a bunch of meat here we gotta clean up, but how do you make kids? You want to make a private bedroom, and you want to put in a double bed and assign it to at least one person. You can toggle owners using this little key here. So you click the key and then you click on the person you want to assign it to down here, and it will kind of make them the owner. So this bed right here is owned by James and Lilius. So assuming there's a private double bed in a private room, they will potentially hook up, and kind of once they hook up, as long as they have enough privacy and enough mood in a room, they will do the deed and make a baby. One of your female clansperson will get pregnant, and after about a long wait, you'll have little babies born. And if you're trying to get new people to join your clan, you'll have to hire a worker. And if the worker is compatible and of the opposite gender, they may choose to join your clan if it's kind of nice enough. Okay, so that's kids. I think I got everything there. Tip number 19. Oh, marriage. I just mentioned that. Like I said, if you have a worker and they're working away and they're compatible with one of your clan's people, they'll join. You'll get an option to join. Make sure when they join they don't have any really bad debuffs like lazy or cranky. There's a bunch of like debuffs you want to check down in this area. You might be desperate for people, so even with bad debuffs you might want to get them to join the colony. But okay, so sell things that you can, and this is tip number 20. Good ways to make money. We got a trader here actually. This is good timing. Some things you can sell that are kind of infinite are fertilizer. You want to save some for your crops, but it comes from manure and poop, so it's kind of infinite. Clay bricks are a good thing to sell. They sell pretty decently. And what else we can sell? Wood planks. Trees are pretty much infinite. So stone is usually a good thing to sell because stone is infinite. Clay is infinite. Anything that you can kind of that's a renewable resource. Make sure you got a bit stocked up, and then you can sell it to the traders when they come. And once you've traded, you can send them off using this ask to leave. I usually buy a lot of stuff as well. I've got a bunch of money right now, so I'll probably buy stuff that I need, like oat grains. That's probably good. Send them off. Okay, tip number 21. Avoid planting berry bushes. They're not very good. And berries themselves are not super great because they rot pretty fast unless you got them in a cold storage. So I wouldn't bother with berries. You can harvest them off the bushes that are kind of wild using jobs. Gather berries, some out here. Don't gather too many at a time or they'll probably just rot on you. Tip number 22. This is the auto haul option. So if you click on most buildings, you'll see this auto haul option. And it says the crafter will haul items to storage as they are produced. So like if you've got a dense storage for the thing that comes out of this production building, it'll save them from dropping it on the ground. That's their default behavior. If they drop it on the ground, then someone else has to come along and put it away. But if you have auto haul, they'll just chuck it in the storage right away. Fishing, tip number 23. So you can fish eels initially, and then later on you can fish fish. If you hover over the lake, in the top left you can see fishing 89 over 100. And on smaller lakes you'll see something like 41 over 45. So the 45 is kind of the maximum that this little lake can churn out. And 41 is kind of like you fished a little bit of it. If it goes down to 0, we won't be able to get any more fish until they renew. So a way to kind of balance this is to, I'll clear this off right now. But this lake right here supports about 6 to 7 fish a day. So if you click your fishing building right here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then wait. They'll do 6 fish, they'll wait a day, and then if you click this repeat, they'll do that in a loop. And you might have to play with it a little bit. If you see your fish stocks going down rapidly, you want to, maybe do 5 a day or 4 a day. And in the winter, they don't get as many fish, so you might have to micromanage this a little bit in the winter. Okay, tip number 24, hunting. So an easy way to find rabbits out in the wild is to use the heat overlay. Let's see if we can find any. Here's one here. Pretty easy to see. So you can do jobs, hunt wild animals, and as long as you've got a bow, your clan's people will go get the bunnies. The other way to get them is to use traps, snares, over these little bunny holes. I've turned them all off for now, but I'm going to turn them back on. If you double click, it'll select all the ones you can see on the screen, and then we'll allow them again. This is also a hunting task as well. The reason I had it turned off is in the winter, if they have to walk all the way from the village, all the way out here, they might freeze to death on the way, because they walk really slow in the winter. So I turn off the snares in the winter. Oh, I just got one. Yeah, and there's lots of bunny holes out there. There's quite a few out there. Gotta turn this one on again. So you may, depending on the distance from your village, you may want to turn them off. Okay, tip number 25, the last tip. Skills. So you'll want to, right off the bat, you'll want to go in here and find the skills they hate, like this skill down here, and force it to the bottom with this arrow with the line on it. And then skills that they love and have an experience bonus, like ×2 or times, there's even more, like ×8. They're really good at this and they really love it. Actually, they don't love it, but they are really good at it. They get an experience multiplier. These kind of skills that they're really good at and they love, you want to push them near the top. And then you'll want someone to do pretty much kind of be dedicated to one kind of thing, so they become specialists. Like I've got a really good miner here, I've got a really good hunter, I've got a dedicated farmer, dedicated harvester, dedicated builder, dedicated medic, dedicated chef, and dedicated builder. And then if you've got more people, you can kind of specialize a little bit more. Yeah, so I got all the stuff they hate down here. If you get new people, new kids joining or new workers joining, you might have to set these to the bottom. You don't have to set them to the bottom, but if they don't like it, better to keep the stuff they love near the top, like this. They love hauling, so we'll put that near the top, like that. Make sure you have a cleaner, because your village can get dirty. There's a cleaning task right here. I've got cleaning way down at the bottom, except for one person who really loves cleaning up here. Sarah's our resident cleaner. And I think that's it. If you run out of iron ore, this is kind of a bonus tip. Some of the mountains have, like this whole mountain was full of iron ore, pretty much. So do little exploratory digs into the mountains like this, and you might find iron ore. Sometimes you'll find some way exposed out on the map early on, but once you've used it all up, you're going to probably want to dig into some of these mountainsides. And I managed to do this in just under 26 minutes, which is almost 1 minute per tip. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope you found it helpful. If you have any other tips, leave them in the comments for others. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.